Raleigh. I don't want to say anything, but you're running a little bit late today, but that's okay, Raleigh. Dr. Lovelle and I have nothing better to do than to sit here and wait for you. Dr. Lovelle, let me apologize on behalf of Raleigh, but I'm sure they were doing something important.
It must have been very important.
Well, Raleigh, lucky to have Dr. Lovelle. We missed you last week during Memorial Day. We didn't get our Dr. Love fix. But thank you for coming back today, and we'll do our COVID-19 update. And we were talking a little earlier, such as they are, Dr. Lovelle, what are the numbers?
Well, depending on where you look, and I would say that all of the sources that I use are pretty similar. What does differ though is state to state, county to county, what they look like. So some places are kind of on an uprise in the Raleigh area, actually North Carolina in general is on a little bit of an uptick, whereas some of the other states we've been keeping an eye on, like Georgia and Florida, Georgia, if you look at it, may be actually a little bit on the downtrend, and Florida continues to just bounce around. So the whole thing is that you really don't know at this point. You know, is it up? Is it down? Is it the same? What's going on?
So the systems arrive. You mentioned though that you use multiple sources so that you can kind of get a broad vision. You're not using just one of them. Would you share some of your sources for these statistics, please?
Wonderful. So I use the National Institutes of Health. I also use the WHO, the World Health Organization. And believe it or not, I look at Google's numbers as well. And when you put those three together, those are the three that I use the most frequently. And the reason I do that is because numbers will also vary depending on when the stats are taken, whether or not there was testing and everything. So, for instance, this past week, the day May, well, we're in May, yes. Well, it was May. May
Right.
26th, which was the day after Memorial Day, the numbers in the area dropped precipitously. Well, was that because it dropped, or was it just because the day before was Memorial Day and people didn't go out and get tested? It was the former. So it's really a matter of, who's looking at the data, how it's getting put in, and how frequently, and how much testing is getting done.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about who's doing the testing? How do you get testing? So is there like a team, a census team out there going, hey, you want to be tested? Or is it only when you self-diagnose and you go and ask for it? How's the system?
That's pretty much it still, at least here. In some other countries, for instance, some of the, well, China, we know for instance, was very, very stringent about getting people tested. But the same thing in South Korea. And they actually had a lower rate of disease. And the reason for that was that people were getting tested on a routine basis, and not just the symptomatic or those who were worried, but pretty much a wide swath of the nation. And that's essentially where we need to be if we really want to have a true picture of what's going on at any one particular time.
Right.
Unfortunately, we haven't hit that at this point.
No. And there's a time lag. I might be sick a week, 2 weeks before I'm even considered getting tested.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, as we know, that's the whole thing. The incubation period could be anywhere from 2 to 14 days. And within that time, you may be asymptomatic.
So my takeaway for this is keeping an eye on it. We have not seen any clear sign that devil may care attitude. You need to stay focused on your basics.
Exactly.
Two, you need to look at multiple sources. And then even then, if you see things trending down, let's wait a week or two to see if it's just not a blip in the system.
Exactly.
So things are opening up though. Anyway, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Sure.
Do you go to the grocery store or do you have it delivered?
I do go to the grocery store. However, I go to Sprouts, which is very health conscious. So everyone in there has a mask. They don't
Mhm.
let a lot of people in at the same time. And it's actually I feel very safe.
Right.
There's really not a lot of people in there. I also go to Costco. Anybody who knows me knows I love Costco. And Costco has actually continued to make it necessary for you to wear a mask to be in the store. Um, when I do go, I try to stay, I try to keep my social distancing still. And when I come home, I wash everything, and I do mean
Yeah.
everything, in a bath of my own homemade disinfectant.
So very general practices. All right. So do you order food for pickup from restaurants?
I don't. I don't.
Um,
I'm not a big home delivery person in the first place. And the way things are right now, I would rather either get it myself or make it at home. So that's
um,
adding another layer of complexity, if you ask me.
well, it's also doing practicing what you preach, Dr. Lovelle, which is why I like you. You don't just, I've been to a lot of doctors because you need to quit smoking. Anyway, you
True,
know,
true,
um, uh,
true.
what about the swimming pool?
So I'd heard that the swimming pools are opening and that for instance, there are some who are having people come in shifts. I would say
Mhm.
that I will not be on one of those shifts, at least not right now. Forget about being actually in the pool, but if you think about all of the things that are around, the tabletops, the bathrooms, all of these things need to be disinfected in between,
Right.
and I'm just not comfortable with that yet.
Okay. So if anybody is comfortable, takeaway is use your basics. If you're
Mm.
going out, wear your mask, wash your hands. If you're going to be somewhere for an extended period, when you come home, disinfect, right? Um, also, say keep an eye on the establishments. You normally have a good idea of who's doing a good job and who doesn't. For example, I'm gonna pile on to the grocery store. Trader Joe's does a wonderful job. Those guys, they spray your hands on the way in. They wiping it in front of you. So you have an idea. Work with those that you see taking the extra effort. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. And thanks. I'm seeing that Phoebe just put something in there. Use our dollars to support the local businesses who are actually trying to protect us. And that I think that's exactly what we should be doing at this point. If there's a store that and
Love you, Phoebe.
time.
Um, do you know what she means by the 3W guidelines?
I do not.
I don't either, but I bet white is one of them.
Three.
Wipe it down. Um,
Oh my
um,
goodness.
so I appreciate you taking the time. What do you have going on in your practice that is new? Because I know that you are still seeing patients and that you are still providing all the services for personal health that you do.
Exactly. So we're still doing most of our things virtually. This week we were scheduled to be opening, but opening in a place where both my team and the practice member would have masks on and would be sitting, at 6+ feet apart as we were talking. However, because of the issues over the weekend, we're actually going to be pushing that back in another week.
Um, just 1 week, I hope, not too far, just a brief. And don't you have another immunity webinar this week?
Thank you. It this week is actually going to be on thyroid and autoimmunity.
Oh,
So that's a huge topic, especially among women, but with everyone. So,
um,
why are you tired? That kind of thing.
um, I would ask, but we don't have time, and I'll be at the webinar. And then you mentioned that you are going to be working on a special message coming up, so we will all be ready for your thoughts on that and be ready to push it out. Well, Dr. Lovelle, let me just tell you what it is. It is a great comfort to have your time every week. It means a lot to have somebody who is a medical professional and such history. And all right, I was in the interest of time and the fact that I love Phoebe Ravenbart more than most people on the planet. The 3 W's are, take it away, Dr. Lovelle.
Wear a mask. Wait 6 feet apart. Wash your hands frequently, necessarily in that order. And if you can stay at home, safer at home. Thanks, Phoebe.
Amen. And then wipe it down because I liked my W. Um,
Exactly.
Dr. Lovelle, uncharacteristically and out of thanks, I'm going to give you the last word.
Oh my goodness. I'm not even ready. Well, I would just thank you for letting me be here each week and just kind of keeping people updated, but also keeping the word out that is so much more about being safe, being proactive, and knowing that you have the ultimate control over your health.
Um, it's hard giving the last word.
Am I supposed to say and safe? Be safe with and protect local with Shop Local Raleigh
Oh, now we'll wave it off. Thank you,
and your
everybody.
backyard.